Welcome to the WRAL Daily Download. I'm Grace Holland. On Tuesday, the Wake County Schools Board heard a request to ban cell phones in the district. These kinds of policies are getting more and more popular in districts across the country and the state. WRAL's Willie Daniely was there for that meeting and joins us from the Board of Education. Willie, thanks for taking the time.
Great to be here.
Walk us through what happened in that meeting, because I know they didn't technically take any votes.
Yes, so a group of concerned parents, along with a medical professional, he's a family physician, they came to propose this idea to the Board of Education. Everyone involved has children themselves, so they've seen firsthand the impact that social media has had, not only on their children, but children in their classroom.
They talk a lot about how during lunch break, which is when phones are allowed at their school, their friends are on their phones. They're not talking to each other. They're not hanging out with each other. They're not learning how to socialize with each other. I am hopeful that we're seeing more smiling faces at school, less kids looking at their phones all the time, grade levels improving, mental health levels improving. I think it could really do incredible things for our Wake County kids, but then hopefully it's a chain reaction and kids across North Carolina.
So that's really prompted them to present this issue to the board to tell them that we need to crack down on cell phones and that there is no place for cell phones in Wake County schools.
And how did they go about doing that? Was that just in the public comment, or was it more of like a formal presentation?
It was just in the public comment. So they made this proposal. This is the first time that anyone on the school board is hearing of this, but they are going to continue to follow up with the school board, and hopefully this could be put on an agenda for the board to vote on some point in the future.
And have you been able to talk to any students about this? How are they feeling? And what have they been seeing in their own classrooms when it comes to cell phones and trying to learn?
Well, as you can imagine, any teenager, we spoke to several teenagers today, they don't want anything taken away from them. But the ones that I did speak to today did mention that they are a distraction in the classroom, that there are students that are on their phones and distracting other students from instruction. Some students also did raise concerns about how cell phones are also a benefit to their education.
Taking away students' resources for potential learning is very harmful to students. And while you could argue in some perspectives that it can be a detriment or a distraction to students, I would counter that in a way that the more resources students have to better their education, the more they can grow.
Some teachers use things like QR codes in their classroom. So they look at cell phones as a tool for education, whereas some of the adults may be looking at it as a detriment to their education.
Right. So it sounds like some of the students are saying, hey, there's things that we can do on our phones that help us with our education, whereas maybe some of the parents are saying just across the board, we got to cut them out.
Exactly. And one of the students I spoke to today also mentioned that he collaborates with students at other schools due to like a dual enrollment program that he's involved with at school. So taking away a cell phone, in his viewpoint, may kind of hinder his education experience.
All right. Sounds like a lot of perspectives there. Let's take a quick break and we'll be right back. Willie, before the break, we were kind of talking about how this group of people, these parents, decided they were going to ask the school board to take some action on this and where students are standing on this right now. What have we seen with this in other school districts around the state or the Carolinas that have already banned phones or at least taken stricter rules for phones?
Well, Wake County would be far from the first district in North Carolina to implement some sort of regulation on cell phones. We've seen in Charlotte, Mecklenburg, they've made it so that it's at the principal's discretion on when phones can be allowed at school, if at all. There are 6 Chatham County schools that have implemented a cell phone patch program to where students have to put their cell phones in a pocket when they begin their day, and that pocket isn't unlocked until the end of the day. So, this is an issue that's come up a lot around the state that people are recognizing, but everyone's kind of trying to figure out their own way of how they're going to address the cell phone issue.
Yeah, and as school districts are sort of working that out on a case-by-case basis, has the state looked at considering any action on this?
Well, we know that the state attorney general has acknowledged and said for himself that cell phones with students is an issue that we need to tackle, not only for mental health regarding social media and the impact that that has on students, but also grade performance. We've seen a lot of students' grades take a hit just due to the fact that they're not able to focus.
And you kind of alluded to this a little bit. What are the next steps that this group of parents are hoping to happen?
So I will say at the meeting that happened, they were met with a lot of applause from other people who were unrelated to their cause in the crowd. So we could get a sense that this is something that a lot of parents feel need to take place. So they're hoping that they gather more support. They're going to continue to pressure and press the school board for following up on this issue and seeing what they can do about it, how it can be implemented in Wake County schools realistically, and hopefully that this can be made an agenda issue for the board to vote upon. They also did mention in their speech today that it may be unrealistic to implement this for the coming fall semester, but they did say that this is something that needs to be acted upon urgently. So they did ask for the board to consider this for the upcoming school year.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Willie, and thank you for listening to the WRAL Daily Download. Another great way to get WRAL news is the Morning Briefing newsletter. It's a daily email that's waiting in your inbox every morning with local news, events, and headlines to get you ready for the day. Sign up at WRAL.com/newsletter.